This is Pastor Tim coming to you from the United Methodist Churches of Bend and Lomita in Central Texas. Little churches and little communities trying to do the ministry and mission of Jesus Christ to offer people life. If you're looking for a place to worship on Sunday morning, we invite you to come and tune in at 9 o'clock on Facebook, Bend United Methodist Church, Texas, and you'll find us or watch the podcast of the worship services anytime. We've been talking about the Bible and some of the characters in the Bible. Thought we'd spend a little time talking about Job. Job is an interesting person. He is maybe more an accumulation of a lot of people than just one person, because nobody can have that much bad luck all at one time. Because Job is a very prosperous man, and God and Satan are talking. And see, at one time it was seen that Satan was a part of the heavenly court, and so God and Satan would chat. He was advocating, saying that Job, it's easy to have faith when you have a lot of prosperity, when you have a lot of things going for you. But what if bad things happen? And God said, well, I'll let you test him. He didn't say make bad things happen to him. He said, I'll let you test him and see what comes out, but don't take his life. And so then a series of bad things happen. He gets one messenger after another that all his animals were killed, and that his children died, and all his servants died. All of a sudden, he's left with pretty much nothing. But he maintains his faith. He says God gives and God takes away, and then he is silent as his friends come to talk to him. And by the way, his wife was so very helpful in this. She said, why don't you just curse God and die? Maybe he had a good insurance policy that she could cash in on, but it really wouldn't have helped her any, because she couldn't own the property. As being a Hebrew in that day and time, women couldn't own property. So she would have had to find some relatives to go live with. So that wouldn't have helped her at all. But Job, his friends show up and they're silent for days. And in that, they showed support and their willingness to stick with him. And then they open their mouth. And that's a problem, because they give all the conventional answers. They say, Job, you must have done something that needed to be punished. You must have done something bad. And we already found out that Job was a righteous man. They had not done anything. But they gave all the conventional answers of that day, and Job wouldn't have any of it. He just said, no, none of that is true. I think that I've got a quarrel with God. I want God to come down here, and we're going to argue, and I'm going to win, which kind of shoots a hole in the old idea of the patience of Job, because he wants to fight with God. And then for chapters and chapters, all this conversation takes place. And then finally, God shows up. And God basically doesn't try to explain God's self. God says, where were you when I created the world? Where were you when I put the stars in the sky? Where were you when I put the animals on the earth? In other words, you really don't know anything. You don't understand from God's perspective how the world works. You don't understand life in general. You're just guessing from your own perspective. And he tells all the friends how wrong they are, and how they messed it up. And then he turns to Job, and Job finally says, I just didn't know anything. Now I see, now that God is here, I understand that I don't have any kind of perspective. In the end, he grows his family back, and his prosperity grows back. But that's not really the point. The point is not blessings. The whole book is kind of a protest. that when you do good things happen to you because God cares about you and blesses you. And when you do bad things happen to you because God curses you. Job is a kind of a protest book against the existing mentality, because sometimes good things happen to bad people, and sometimes bad things happen to good people. That God doesn't always bless as a reward for who you are and what you've done. That life, it rains on the just and the unjust. It spreads it out evenly. It's not a reward for having faith, so that nothing bad ever happens to you. So Job is a little insight into going against the grain of the dominant theology of much of the Hebrew Bible. So I think he's an interesting guy to read. If you ever get mad at God, read Job and see how it turns out. Okay, I'll see you next time.